Welcome back to our channel. We're going to transform this baby. It's got 6 drawers in it, and then it's got inside here, it's got 3 more drawers. So this is going to be a fun transformation. Stick with us. Action.
You scared me. Okay, so we're gonna commence with the vacuuming of all the drawers. This is just, vacuuming the drawers and getting other people's yuck out.
Okay guys, now that we're all cleaned up, we're gonna get some hardware off. We're gonna go ahead and remove these doors so we can paint them. I think what we're gonna wanna do, at least the plan right now, is that we're gonna paint the hinges gold to match the hardware. Because the outside of the hinge shows right here. So I think we're gonna go ahead and paint the hinges gold to match the hardware. So you're gonna go ahead and take the doors off. It'll make them a little easier to paint. That way we can get the hinges off and get those painted also. And we won't be getting all kinds of paint into the screws. I know a lot of people will go ahead and paint with drawers in and doors on, and it's really kind of a preference. We just like to do it with everything out. To me, it just makes it a little easier, and I can control where the lines are a little bit. Let's go ahead and get the rest of this hardware off. Okay, so we took some Dixie Belle Mud. We had a couple of just minor dents in here, one there, one down here, here. So we went ahead and filled those. So we're going to sand those off, and then when we're done with that, we're going to get the priming. Okay, so we got our first coat of primer on. We're going to give it a quick sand to smooth it out, and I think we're going to resort to spraying. I think we're going to go ahead and spray our second coat of primer as soon as we're done with this. Okay, so we brushed and rolled the first coat of primer on here. We're going to spray the second coat. Why did we do that? Well, for one, we kind of wanted to compare the difference between the two. We've done both. Lately we've been doing more spraying than rolling and brushing. I guess pros of the spraying is the spraying itself is a lot quicker. We brushed and rolled all of the drawers and the main unit. Probably took us about an hour to do that. We'll be able to spray this all in about 10 minutes. However, when you spray, the cons are there's a lot more masking to do. You have to mask around all your drawers. We still have to mask all these rails that are in here from overspray, just to make sure they don't get a bunch of paint or primer on them. So, you know, we probably took half an hour or so, maybe 35 minutes to mask all the drawers and get them all ready to go. Plus your 10-minute spraying, so you're at, 40, 45 minutes. So the time savings because of having to mask all that stuff is not huge. But spraying, I feel, is easier. It's a little less backbreaking than crouching down to paint all this stuff. And it is quicker. So, the choice is up to you. If you don't have a sprayer, there's certainly nothing wrong with brushing and rolling your primer. That's how we started. We did that all the time. After I got a sprayer, we tried spraying it, and we like spraying. Sometimes we still brush and roll. If the weather outside is bad, we can't have the garage door wide open because it's raining or really windy. We'll go ahead and brush and roll, simply because the overspray from the sprayer tends to blow all over the place. On calmer days when we can have the garage door open, I turn on a big fan in the back of the garage and it blows everything away from me, so I don't have as much paint dust flying around me. So there's advantages and disadvantages to both rolling and brushing versus spraying, but we're going to go ahead and spray the second coat, and then we'll go from there. So let's go ahead and we'll get these masked up, these rails, and then we'll go ahead and we'll spray the second coat of primer on here. Okay, so our second coat of primer is dry. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a quick sand. It's just to knock it down, make it all smooth. I'm using an 80 grit, but I'm going light with it. So you don't need to go a little heavy. You're just kind of scuffing off the top dust a little bit. Just like the other pieces in the set, we're going to be spraying this with the Sherwin-Williams urethane enamel, the trim paint, and we're going to be using our HomeRite Supermax Plus. So let's get some spray painting done. Okay, so we already painted the one side. I know I didn't show that on video, but we're gonna flip all these over. We're gonna get our other side painted. We decided to paint the hinges a flat black, which will blend in with the rest of the unit. We were thinking about painting them gold, but after we thought about it, we thought it might look a little gaudy if the hinges were showing in gold. We really want the hardware, the pulls, to stand out. and not necessarily the hinges. So we're gonna paint all this black so that it blends in, so you really don't see them that much. And you notice I use the same technique as I do when I'm spraying with my sprayer. I try to start off of the piece that we're spraying and come across it and stop after I'm off it again. That way you don't get any puddling or drips. If you spray directly at it, with one shot like this to get something, you're gonna get a great big puddle on there. And again, it's something you probably have to just wait till it's dry and then try to sand it off. If you miss something, just go across the whole thing again like this. Okay, so with those dry, one thing about using any kind of Rust-Oleum like an enamel is that it does take a couple hours to dry. It's not like they dry in 10 minutes, but that's okay because it's very durable, so it will last. And as our next step, we're going to start putting things together. Well, now comes the exciting part. This is the part where we get to start putting everything together, seeing if what we envisioned is what we end up with. Now, because we've already done the nightstands that match this, we kind of know what it's going to look like, but this is always the most exciting part for us, is watching it all come together. After it's all painted, we start putting on hardware and putting it together. This is the part we really enjoy. So when we got down to putting on the hardware, I realized that the old hardware that we had was one hole hardware, but because of the back plate on the hardware, it covered a second hole. So now that we have one hole hardware, that's not going to do that. We got to patch that second hole, and I forgot all about it when we were doing all the prep work and everything else. So we are going to see what we can do about patching these two holes. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my airbrush after I sand this down and see if I can't blend this in. So we'll see how that goes. I'll show you guys what we do. We'll find out if it works. Okay, so we're gonna get this sanded down. This is the Dixie Belle Mud. It's all dry. We're using the 220 sandpaper, sanding block. Okay, I'll wipe this off and we'll touch it up. Okay, so I want to show you a quick technique for blending something like this. And you have to do a patch, especially if you're spraying. This is something that will give you almost the exact same finish as spraying. So what we do is we brush this on, and then to make sure we don't have any brush marks, simply go over it with a dry roller, like this. And it'll flatten that down. And doing that's only going to take a second to dry. And you may have to go over it a couple of times. But it will level it out and blend it in really well. And worst come to worst, if we have to, we can just do the whole board from the bottom up to the top. Okay guys, so the doors are all dry. We patched it in, it looks good. These are the hardware that we're going to be using for the front of the doors. They sent us 2 size screws. The one screw is too short, doesn't even come through the hole. This one is too long. So we need this screw, but we need it shorter. I wanted to show you guys this. These are actually wire strippers. They can be bought at Home Depot or Lowe's, I'm sure has them. But if you find a set something like this, and if you look really close, right in this area right here, you'll see there's a bunch of holes and there's a bunch of writing. What that says on it is 440, 632, 1032. Those are screw sizes. And what these are meant to do, these happen to be 832s. So you open it up a little bit and you screw this through here. Well, I thought they were, yeah, they're 832s. And you get it. So we're just going to take off about that much. These are meant so that you can actually get through. It's hard, but you can get right through the screw. There you go. So it takes off that little bit. Nice thing about these is usually it does it good enough that you don't have to worry about rethreading. Most of the time they'll go right in. You cut them with the thread, and then, yeah, see, that's what I get for talking. Most of the time, there you go. So they'll go right in, so you don't have to worry about messing up your threads. They're very useful when it comes to this. So if you can find yourself a set of those, you'll save yourselves a lot of problems, and there you go. So now we're at the right length. So now we can get this started here. There we go. So now I got that so level the first time. So now we can just do our second one. Do the same thing, we'll get it in here. Cut off about that much if you guys can see that. And I do this on the ground only because it's easier to put pressure on it to get it to cut. Saves you from having to go out and buy more screws of a different length and try to find the right thread and everything else. There we go. Look at that. Okay, so we're all set. So I think we're going to go ahead and get this dresser staged and show you what we got. So let's look at the numbers real quick on this project. As you may know, if you saw our last video, we had 2 nightstands and a headboard, which we sold, and the customer who purchased that also wanted the dresser. So the dresser was pre-sold before we even finished it. But our cost on this dresser was $0 since we received it from a neighbor. We spent about $35 on paint and miscellaneous items, and then we had about $15 for the new hardware, for a total of $50. The unit was sold for $400, which left us a profit of $350. So let's take a look at how everything turned out.